Yes, people, and welcome back to the Tactical Waffle podcast. I don't even remember what number we're on anymore, but we're a decent way through now. All the stuff we're covering this week. Lewis, do you wanna dive in?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's only one place to start right now, and I think that is the England squad. Even the England game that
Yeah,
happened. Was it Friday night?
yeah. I didn't get to watch the England game because I was too busy balling out in a charity match.
Oh yes. Do you want to tell us about the charity match quickly?
Yeah, it's my team, Captain Rovers, and we played against another team called Lidlington, who were I think they're the division above us. We were raising some money for the Sue Ryder Foundation. It was a really good game. Raised a lot of money for a really good cause. I got an absolutely banging assist from CDM as well. So yeah, all in all, just great day really. Didn't win any. I didn't win anything from the raffle though after the game, which I'm a bit disappointed about. But aside from that, like I say, great day.
Yeah. Enough about charity. Um,
Oh,
England.
screw charity. No, I'm only playing.
We'll talk about the match first, seeing as you missed it. Boring for about what 90 minutes, 85 minutes maybe. Nothing happened apart from one insane Rashford run. Um,
Yeah,
And then Ben White scored by accident. The ball just come in and he was there.
the one thing I don't get about Ben White, right, is that he didn't want to play for England a few years ago because I think he had a disagreement with what's his name. It was the assistant manager under Gareth Southgate.
Yeah, someone in there.
Yeah, but I'm not entirely sure. But the thing is, he comes into the squad. Obviously, he scores, which is great, and then he concedes a penalty, which isn't great. Obviously, I wouldn't start him for England because he doesn't. He barely plays for Arsenal now. Like, obviously, Timber's the better right back, but I mean, by the looks of it, we weren't. I watched a couple of the highlights, and by the looks of it, we weren't exactly great.
No, we were better than Uruguay, and it was our third team, but it's not hard right now. I mean, they got
Yeah,
battered 5-1 by USA in their last game before us.
really.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Speaking of
You,
USA, Emmett, do you want to talk
Whoa.
about the Belgium game?
Uh, I didn't get to watch it because I was busy being a film student and filming all day. But I was keeping tabs on it, and I got really excited because we went up by one just before halftime. Then we tied it, and then it was just a constant downhill of depression the entire next 45 minutes. It, I don't know what has gone so wrong because we didn't put out a bad squad. It wasn't a good squad. So Chris Richards was injured. Miles Robinson was injured. Um, I don't think our backline was as strong as it will be. Adams is out injured. So again, it's not exactly like a full roster, but it definitely wasn't like just the B team. So I
Yeah.
think, to be quite honest, going down as bad as we did, again, I don't know what happened. I didn't watch it, but it from the scoreline seems disgraceful, quite honestly. And I feel like we should be doing better than that if we want to be competing at a higher level. Um, I will say, at not watching this, but I saw this later. What the fuck were they thinking with the kit choice?
the most disgusting kit clash I think I've ever seen.
It was
Yeah.
horrendous. So
So,
go on.
go on.
Okay, I'll say. So the US jersey is like it's the white and then it's got like red stripes. But the broadcast camera doesn't pick up the red stripes very well. So it just looks white. And the Belgians were also wearing white. So it was genuinely impossible to tell. And what made it worse was I can't remember which way it was, but one team had dark shorts and then white socks, and the other had white shorts, dark socks. So both teams, it wasn't like one was full white and the other was like white and then dark. They were both white and dark. So terrible kit choice by whoever made that
It's like a
call.
challenge.
Yeah, and it came out later. I think it was Christian Pulisic who said like, yeah, it was challenging sometimes to tell the difference, but I don't. We can't hide behind that either from a performance side because that affects the
Well, I
Belgian
mean,
team as
Belgium's
well.
yeah,
Yeah,
Belgium still had one, still had a kick there.
exactly. That affects both sides. So again, I didn't watch it, so who knows? Maybe we were in the game the whole time, and it's just an unlucky thing. But really, what it looks like from what I saw was we went up, potentially got a little comfortable going 1-0 up, let them sneak one in, and then they just had the ball rolling, and then had to sort of figure it out. Really,
Yeah, I mean, it just Belgium are still a good side. They're not as good
Yeah,
as what
yeah,
I
they're
don't
not as good as what they were.
I don't
Like
get
back in like
why they're so
2018,
highly
where
rated though. Because they've
yeah,
never been like they've always been said to be like top five nations in the world, but I don't think they ever have been.
no,
I mean, I'd arguably say like sort of 2017, 2018, they were probably in and around that sort of area because I mean they're, Eden Hazard in his prime, they're De Bruyne in his prime, Lukaku pretty much entering his prime. Like, you had all these sort of like, you know, elite world class players, and I I'll go as far as saying they could have arguably won the World Cup in 2018. But I thought for the most part in the semi final against France back in Russia, I thought Belgium were the better team.
Yeah.
Like they
Oh, well, they ended
absolutely
up going third, didn't they? 'Cause they beat us.
yeah, they beat us in the third place playoff. They beat us in the group stage
To be
comfortably.
fair,
I mean,
that group stage game has one of the best moments, one of the best goal celebrations I think I've ever seen.
the Batshuayi one.
The Michi Batshuayi kicking it up against the post. Nothing
the
gets better
fact it
than that.
the fact it's been a meme for so long now and people just keep reusing it is so good as well.
It just because it was what it was like Adnan Januzaj that scored it. It's like not even like a Michi Batshuayi goal, and he just picks up the ball and just pelts it for
Yeah.
no reason. And yeah, just what
It's
Ugh.
coming. It's coming to World Cup season where Mexico dig up Ochoa from his grave and they bring him out for a sixth World Cup.
we
Yeah, I
The
love
mean
we
he's
love a
he's
show
been
up.
around forever,
he
but he's
has.
always so good. Especially
He's
the 2014 World Cup.
except the thing is, he's terrible for anything other than Mexico.
Yeah.
It's only Mexico he's good for. He's world class for Mexico. The moment he goes to a club, he's like, oh, I just can't be bothered.
Yeah. But
Never.
it's a bit like it's a bit like other players. Like you've seen players that typically don't really do well at their clubs, but when it comes to like international tournaments or just playing for their country, they're just really good. Like, I'll name one prime example. I'm not sure if you'd remember him, but Denis Cheryshev in the 2018 World Cup for Russia.
boy, he scored
Yeah.
some
Like
belters.
like he he was playing for I think Valencia at the time. Wasn't really playing that well until it came to the World Cup, and he was all of a sudden one of the best players at the tournament.
Oh, do you remember Artem Zhuba, who played for
Tenjuba,
him?
yeah,
He
yeah,
played up
he was,
front for him.
yeah,
Wasn't he one
yeah.
of
No,
the top scorers at the tournament or something? Artem Zhuba.
Cheryshev was. I think he had 4 or 5 at the 2018 World Cup. But he was, consistently Russia's best player at the World Cup. He was, arguably, I'll go as far as saying top 3, maybe even top 5. Best attackers. I go. I don't think he was maybe. Well, yeah, I'll probably say top 5 best attackers at that World Cup because he was consistently a threat.
But going back to the Americans, a question for you, Emmett. With those names on that sheet, do you think that America has what it takes to make a deep run through the World Cup? Because don't get me wrong, there are some fantastic players on that list, like Pulisic. I don't know if Musa will be going.
He better be.
You've obviously got Balogun. Well, you might have. No, you don't have Balogun anymore. He's converted to the Nigerian.
No, he can't, dude. He's played for us in.
What are you
What?
waffling?
Yeah, but
I'm
what are you
sure
talking
there's.
about?
What is his
I'm
knowledge?
sure Balogun has gone. Has
No.
converted.
He
No, he
can't.
converted from English to
He
Who's
came
it?
from
USA, and he's
English.
played like 10
Yeah,
times for the US national team.
well, and not only that, but he's played in
Ben, are you not
Gold
confusing
Cup
him
for
with
us, so
Leon
he's
Balogun, who
locked
played
in.
for
He
Rangers?
cannot switch.
No. No, I'm just tripping again.
Okay.
But do you think that America have what it takes to get
Okay.
to like a
Yeah.
quarterfinal?
I'll quickly go over the people that he's called up. So for our goalkeepers, we have Chris Brady. Don't know who the fuck it is. Plays for the Chicago team, which is pretty lit. Roman Salanto. It's again no fucking clue who that is. Matt Freese and Matt Turner are our goalkeepers. Um,
Who does Freezy play for?
he plays for New York City FC.
Oh,
There,
Oh, and Matt Turner's obviously former Arsenal.
yeah,
Probably
he's playing at the
nothing.
New England
Forest?
Revolution right now. So they're all MLS
Yeah,
goalkeepers.
Forest Palace.
Oh, right.
That's where he started. He's done full circle.
He has, yeah. Um, yeah, our keeper options are strained, I think. The issue is Turner's better with his feet than Freezy. But I feel like Freezy is a more consistent shot stopping. Turner's much more up and down. Turner will make some ludicrous save and then he'll let a ball the speed of like a tortoise roll past him. It's really on or off with Turner. And this has been a bit of a debate among American fans, I feel, for the last little while, really. Ever since Turner has started getting more consistent playing time when he went back to the Revolution, is who is our better goalkeeper? Because there really is no good option. It's sort of a which option you prefer. Do you prefer someone who maybe will let in one or two more goals, but it will stop a ludicrous one every now and then, or would you rather someone who's a bit more consistent and but a little worse with their feet? So that's kind of where our
Is it like the
goalkeeper
high
situation.
upside kind of thing? Like Turner has a really high upside overall, but like can have lapses in his judgment.
A little
yeah.
bit. I think the thing with Turner is when he's switched on, he is switched on, and I think he's better than Freezy. But the issue is, I feel like he only is switched on about 65% of the games he plays in. And when he's not switched on, he becomes a major liability in the back. And I was talking to Lewis about this the other day. The U.S. national team, historically, usually has quite a good goalkeeper in the back. And our defense is okay, but we've always had a decent goalkeeper. And I feel like we've sort of
Yeah.
done a 180 because I feel like we actually have quite a strong defense if everyone's fully
Yeah.
fit and alive. But I feel like our
Oh, you
defense.
got to win that group as well, by the way.
Oh yeah, we better. But so I feel like our defense is quite solid, but we just have such an uncertainty with the keeper. And like we were saying a few weeks ago with Pickford, like ever since he's been England's number one, you know he's England's number one. We've usually had that with the U.S.
Yeah.
And right now we don't. We don't have a definitive number one goalkeeper in the back, which is it's not a negative thing. And I think between now and the World Cup, I think it could be positive if Freezy and Turner sort of push each other to see who will step up and be the one who plays out of their mind, who takes that spot, really. But it could also
Yeah.
just, if we don't pick one and stick with it during the World Cup and we're constantly going back and forth, I think it could develop into a problem. But
I mean, it also gives both goalkeepers a kind of like incentive for them to perform better, so they actually earn the number one spot for the World Cup.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. But moving on to defenders, the guys who've gotten called up are Max Arfston, who I really enjoyed when he was in our last international window. He impressed me. Alex Freeman, similar to that. Mark McKenzie, who I hadn't really heard of and hadn't considered. Tim Ream, who's fucking ancient, but realistically, he's gonna be one of our starting center
He
backs.
played the other night as well, I think.
He did, yeah. Chris Richards, who I love and I think is probably our strongest
Absolute fucking
center back that we have. He's injured, which is why he didn't play. Him and Anthony Anthony Robinson got called up, but he's still been nursing this injury that he's had since fucking the start of this season, really. So he'll be nursing that. Hopefully he gets back to sort of full fitness come World Cup time. But he's really good. Love Anthony Robinson. And then his brother Miles Robinson, who's also injured, who would be another good center back option if we go into a back five with Richards and Ream.
Does
Joe,
DeAndre Yedlin or the shell of DeAndre Yedlin still exist? And does he still
not
play for the
anymore.
Americans?
He clung to life with the U.S. men's national team until fairly recently, but I think we are now gone in breed of DeAndre Yedlin.
Oh, what a baller!
He's really good.
He was poo.
Joe
good
Scally
for them,
and Austin
actually.
Trusty are the final defenders. So I feel like we actually have quite a nice core of defenders who have been called up. And
Yeah.
really, the only one that I can think of who didn't get called up currently, who I could see potentially going to the World Cup, is Serginho Dest.
Oh yeah.
Lads.
And it's an interesting one with Dest because he's a very good wing back, but if we're playing a back five, I'd much rather play Weah there. And if we're in a back
Yeah.
four, he's almost too aggressive to be in a back four. So
And
he's
one thing about Serginho Dest as well is that he's notoriously been a much more sort of attacking presence at right back rather than kind of like a sort of defensive-minded fullback.
exactly, and that's
Because
what I mean. In a back five, it works quite well because you can put almost a center back behind him, really, and shift
Yeah.
into like if he goes up and goes to be a fake winger, you could just shift the rest of your back five over to be a back four if you need to. Which is,
Yeah,
but if we're playing the back five, I'd almost rather have Weah in that position. And then in a back four, his attackingness could almost be a liability going back. So it's a bit of an interesting one for Dest. So I'm interested to see how going into the World Cup he's used, if he's used. In our midfield, I think I've got some interesting ones in the midfield. So
Midfield's really strong.
I agree. So we have Sebastian Berhalter, who almost has to go to the World Cup for the sole reason of his set piece delivery is the best set piece delivery that we have. And like it's not just good set pieces. It is damn near perfect set pieces almost every time. And so it's a great piece to have to work around, especially going into the World Cup. Johnny Cardoso plays for Atletico Madrid. I wasn't sure if he would go, but he's got called up, and I didn't watch the game, but allegedly he was quite decent. So I'll give it to him. I won't make a huge assessment on it right now. I definitely think he's got a very strong shout of going. Weston McKennie, obviously, he's been one of our stronger midfielders for a few years now, a few camps, and it's good to see that he's coming back and playing at another consistent level because there were some concerns for a little while that he'd sort of dropped form and just he wasn't playing quite as consistently. So it's nice to have McKennie back at a place where he's sort of contributing and playing at a high level again. Aiden Morris, who plays for Middlesbrough, who's been a player who's very on the fringes of going to the World Cup because he provides more than anything just another midfield player. Like he's very similar to other players we have on the list, which is why he wouldn't be my first choice to go. But he's good enough to be called up, if that makes sense. Like he's just not a separate player from anyone else, but he has the talent to be on the roster.
yeah.
Gio Reyna, which is an interesting
He's
one.
a bit hit and miss.
Exactly. Well, and the thing with Gio Reyna is he was supposed to be the next big guy after Pulisic, and now he's a bit full of himself, and he complains if he doesn't play games. So it's I don't know. Is he good enough? Yes. His attitude is the problem with Gio Reyna, and sometimes his attitude makes him think he's the next guy when really he's just another really solid player. Christian Roldan, who I've always been really impressed with, he's a bit up there now, but I feel like he's just such a solid core to build around. His passing is always just exactly where you want it to be, really, just a solid spine in a team.
Yeah.
Tanner Tessman, who's another one who's sort of coming up, finding his place in the team, but he's impressive in the midfield. He's a bit of a workhorse. And similar to Malik Tillman, who is just a body. Like, not in just like he does nothing, as in he is huge and will run people over, which is, you want that in your midfield, really. Our forwards are Brendan Aronson, who I fucking love. We've been over this many times. I've never seen a player who wants more, who like wants to win more than Aronson. He never stops running. He's a bit sort of on the edge of going to the World Cup, and I really hope that he pushes through and gets to go because I would love to see him at a World Cup with the U.S. Patrick Agyemang, who plays for Derby County, he actually come on score our
He's
second
very
goal.
good.
He is very good. So yeah, love Patrick Agyemang. Florian Balogun, who plays for Monaco, he's got to be our starting striker. He's just the best option, really. I think anything other than Balogun starting up front would just be a mistake, really. He's just been our best. He's got our highest output, really. Ricardo Pepi, who I've always had mixed feelings about. He scores, and he does score, but half the time on the pitch he doesn't look like he wants to be there, and we'll just kind of sniff around in the goal until a ball comes his way so he can put it in the back of the net. So
Yeah,
if you need a man to come on and score, he works. But there's something about the way his attitude is and the way that he plays that doesn't scream to me that he's a fantastic player. But you can't deny his output is there. So I'll give him that. Christian Pulisic, who's been our poster boy, one of our better players, he's got to be there. And then Timothy Weah, who again I think he's so versatile going down a wing. You could play him as the wing back role, and I think he's very good at it. And just up the wing, he's great. And I think really for the most part, I'd say barring a couple players who are injured, this is going to be what our World Cup squad looks like for the most part. I think the biggest one will be Tyler Adams coming back. And Yunus Musa should potentially come as well. I can't remember if he's injured or there's some other reason as well. But I think Musa is another one who potentially could be going to the World Cup who isn't on this list. But for the most part, I'd say this is a pretty accurate representation of the players who are going to make their way onto that team. So going back to the Belgium game, I think that we should be holding ourselves to a higher standard than losing 5-2 to Belgium, who, again, they're maybe not the best team in the world, but if we want to be competing at our home World Cup, that's a team that we at least need to be putting a competitive showing up against. Even if it's not our strongest team, that's the place we need to be at, is that game shouldn't be a rollover. That game should be from minute 1 to minute 90. We give them a fight. And maybe we did. Again, I didn't watch the game. Maybe we gave them a fight the whole way through and we just got unlucky. That's possible.
yeah.
But the score
The
line...
things about a team like Belgium, is that looking at their attack, for example, they've got some very, very good players. Like obviously Kevin De Bruyne, who for me is
he's
obviously I'm gonna
very
sound really
good.
biased, but for me he is one of the greatest midfielders, if not the greatest midfielder of this generation, or possibly even of all time. You've got obviously Jeremy Doku on the left hand side, he's probably the best one-on-one sort of direct winger in the world. Like, can beat anyone on his day, really. You have Dodi Lukebakio on the right hand side, who's obviously a very good player, plays for Benfica, so plays at like the highest level possible as well. And then you've got a player like Romelu Lukaku up front, who scored 90 goals at international level, which is just a joke. So, just looking at Belgium's attack and even just their whole team in general, like, you've got players like Amadou Onana, plays for Villa, Yuri Tillemans, some very good players who play at like the highest level that could potentially make a run for, the latter stages of the World Cup. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see because, like I've said many times, like anything can happen in the World Cup.
Yeah, definitely. But I think...
I mean,
Go ahead, Liz.
I was just gonna say, like, obviously, as we always see, players come alive. There's always the hidden ballers come out, and like for being like a home World Cup for you, you should have quite a few players that kind of really get up for it.
Yeah, I
That's
think
gonna help.
to our defense going into that game was Weah right back, McKenzie right center back, Ream left center back, and Robinson. So I'd say that's about like maybe 3/4 or what you would look at for a World Cup team. And Robinson is still sort of fighting to come back from injury, so I wouldn't expect him to be playing at his best. McKenzie, I don't even know very well, and Ream is just a bit old at this point. So obviously you would expect to have Chris Richards back, for the World Cup. He's just fair. It's come out fairly recently. He wasn't included because of injury, and then Miles Robinson as well. So I think we'll have a bit more depth in the defense, and that seems to be where we were lacking. Was our defense just letting too much through? Our offense seemed to sort of produce what you would expect it to. But like I said, I feel like 5-2 to Belgium should be an unacceptable result from the team that we're hoping to have into the World Cup. We've again, maybe I'm speaking out my asshole here, and maybe we gave them a really competitive showing, but the scoreline suggests that we got kind of rolled over a little bit, and
Yeah,
that shouldn't be what. Again, if we lose by 9, but every goal is really competitive, it's a little different. So maybe I'm really wrong, but we should be fighting in that game from minute 1 to minute 90. Really, that's what the expectation needs to be.
but the thing is, one thing that I've noticed about the US men's national team, like just probably the last maybe 3-4 months or so, like they seem to have a very sort of like inconsistent run of form. Like they'll play against like a half decent team, beat them probably 2-3-0, and then play against another team and then either draw or lose. There doesn't really seem to be like a sort of consistent pattern of form for for America really.
Yeah, and it's kind of always been like that, or at least as long as I've been watching them, we've always been a team that's really inconsistent. Like we'll play some teams where you go, oh, this should be a pushover game, and then we barely scrape out of it or we end up tying. And then you play a game where you look at it and go, realistically, we should be losing this game. I'm just hoping to, make it a good game, and then we scrape out a win. It
Yeah,
You really never know what to expect. And going into this World Cup, I had faith that we had more of an established lineup, because part of this was for a little while we had, maybe 4 players who you could say were sort of definitively going to go, right? You would have your Tyler Adams, your Christian Pulisic, your Weston McKennie, and then everyone else kind of had to fight for their spot. Whereas I feel like
yeah,
going into this World Cup, you have a bit more like Chris Richards, Anthony Robinson, Pulisic, McKennie, Balogun, Weah, like they're fairly all nailed on. So I was hoping that with that sort of knowledge, we'd have a bit more consistency. But I guess it's still yet to be seen where we lie.
yeah. And I'll tell you what though, I was looking at some of the games. I was looking at some of the games last week in particular, and France were playing against, I think it was Colombia, who are, I'm not sure if they qualified yet for the World Cup or they're in the sort of playoff rounds in the South American phase. Um, but France pretty much put out their third team and absolutely rolled them over. And obviously France are probably one of the favourites for the World Cup. In my opinion, Spain are still the favourites for the World Cup purely because of how good they look. Like in my opinion, they've got the 2 best players in the world in Pedri and Yamal. I just think they're just ridiculous to be honest. They were unbelievable at the last Euros. They've got all these sort of. I feel like they have all the components needed to win the World Cup. But the thing is, you can't really rule out a team like France because if you look at their attack, they've got obviously Mbappe, who on paper probably is the best player in the world on form. Well, when he wants to be. You've got obviously Ekitike, who's having a really good season at Liverpool. You've got Dembele, who's literally just won the Ballon d'Or about 6 or 7 months ago. You've got Michael Olise, who, in my opinion, is genuinely one of the favourites for the Ballon d'Or at the moment.
He's
Like
so
he's
good.
just been like if you look at his stats in the Bundesliga alone this season, like he's nearly got 20 assists in the league alone, which is stupid considering the Bundesliga is only a 34 game season. Like some of the numbers that obviously Mbappe scored more. I'm pretty sure Mbappe scored more goals than games this season for Real Madrid. Like just crazy numbers, and it wouldn't shock me if France get to the World Cup final again and possibly even win it. But um, I think there's a lot of teams in there that can definitely compete for it. But I think the big question is, and I'm not sure if um, a lot of people would agree with me on this, is like whether England could actually make a run for the World Cup realistically, or at least get to the sort of quarterfinal, semi-final stage. Because I just don't think we're I don't really think it's a matter of consistency. I think it's just a matter of squad depth, and I think a lot of other countries kind of are far superior to us in terms of depth, really.
We got good depth, but all in the same position. I feel.
Yeah,
Like, I think our defense lacks depth,
yeah,
and just the biggest one, the one that we all know is striker.
yeah.
The drop off from Kane to anybody else that's English, like any other English striker, is crazy.
I mean, if you look at our options at the moment, we've got obviously Calvert Lewin, he's been good this season, but he's nowhere near the level of Harry Kane. We've got Danny Welbeck, who's scored more goals than any other English striker in the Premier League this season, but he's 36 and can be very, very inconsistent, and he's
Yeah,
nowhere near the level of Harry Kane. Then you've got a player like Dominic Solanke, who's an absolute workhorse, but he doesn't score. He doesn't score as many goals as a player like. Well, he hasn't scored as many goals as Calvert Lewin or Welbeck this season,
no.
and unlike the other two, he's nowhere near the level of Harry Kane. So I think Harry Kane's definitely one of our star players. He's our captain, so
I
making sure.
felt for. Sorry, you go.
I was just going to say that, like, making sure that players like him stay fit is key for us in terms of
Yeah,
getting to the latter stage of the World Cup. Because if we lose a player like Kane, like, I'm not entirely sure where we're going to get our goals from.
no, this is gonna be really difficult for us if we lose Kane. But like, I felt for Solanke the other night because I think he played really well. But as soon as we actually changed Foden, and which I don't know if you're gonna be happy, like whether you're gonna like hearing this or not. I don't know how you feel about Foden, but he was awful.
Yeah, I
He was
mean,
so
he's been
bad.
he's been very hit and miss this season. Like, just before Christmas, sort of October, November time, he had a run of form where he was absolutely unbelievable, and
Yeah,
then he just dropped off again. He's been like that for a couple of seasons now. Like, obviously, a few years ago, he won Player of the Season. Um, he was just really, really good all season. But ever since the last Euros, he's been very up and down. Like, he's had sort of just dips in form. He scored maybe 5 goals in 5 games, created loads and loads of chances. But then all of a sudden, he's either not playing very well or being benched for players that are playing better than him, and it's just yeah,
Well, so I recently watched there's a documentary on Netflix about the treble-winning season that City went
yeah,
on, and there's a big deal in the first couple episodes about how good Phil Foden is, and he it's fairly just like there's an embedded film crew, so they're just kind of filming people. Obviously, the big name was Holland because of how well he was performing,
yeah.
but like Foden was almost always there for the first like 1, 2, 2.5 episodes, and then he just doesn't exist for a long time, and you almost forget about him because he's faded so far into the background. And I feel like that kind of just sums up how he plays. He's really big and flashy for a bit, and then he fades. Then he'll be really big and flashy, and then he'll fade.
I mean, the things about Phil Foden is that the talent is obviously there. Like on form, he is probably one of the best players in the world. Like in his Player of the Year winning season, he was just incredible. He was. I think he scored 20 goals from centre midfield, pretty much, which is
yeah.
just
Well,
ridiculous.
it was going into the Euros as well, so we were all obviously excited,
Yeah.
and he just did nothing.
But the thing is, the one thing I will say about Phil Foden in the Euros is that I think he was playing out of position
I
because.
think everybody was.
But
There
the thing
wasn't
is,
really positions.
yeah, I mean, the thing is, we played a sort of 4-3-3 with a DM at the Euros, and Phil Foden was playing out on the left. But the thing is, he's not really a left. He's not really a left winger. Like in my position is, but like, in my opinion, his best position is either on the right hand side or in the 10. Because when he's in the 10, like he can sort of drop deep, get the ball, and he's very good at sort of getting the ball, creating chances, and especially in his Player of the Year winning season, he can sort of cut inside and absolutely lash one into the top corner.
Oh, he was playing the 10 for you guys the other day.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, he's been very much like I've said, he's been very hit and miss this season. Obviously, Cherky coming into the team and Reinders playing in that position. I think O'Reilly's played there a couple of times as well. Actually, he played there against Newcastle and scored a couple of times. But we've got so many players in that position where we just sort of rotate, and I don't think Pep really knows what his best team is at the moment. But
That's the issue just playing under Pep though.
yeah,
He loves to change.
yeah, but I think it doesn't really help us out because you've got all these world class players in the squad, and you can't really make everyone happy. So obviously players like players like Bernardo Silva, who's aging, will probably leave at the end of the season. There's talks of Rodri leaving at the end of the season. It gives um, players like Nico Gonzalez and who else is there? Like Nico Gonzalez and obviously giving Reinders more of a chance because I think we signed Reinders for about 46 million.
Yeah,
He won best midfielder in Serie A last season, so when we signed him, we obviously knew like he was quality player. He scored at the Bernabeu in the Champions League in the group stage as well. So um, and like there have been signs, but I just need a bit more from him because aside from the Wolves game at the start of the season, he hasn't really provided much this season.
yeah. He's just like Reinders as well. That first game sold everyone a dream.
Yeah, like
Like
I
one
think
game,
every
everyone was
single City fan, I think every single City fan in particular thought we'd sign the next sort of David Silva, Kevin De Bruyne playmaker type player. Like we just thought that all of our sort of wishes came true, really, like you say. And give it the next couple of games, we realised that wasn't the case because like he's very good, but in terms of actually creating chances, like sort of getting the ball and driving up the pitch, creating chances, he's nowhere near the level of Kevin De Bruyne, obviously. But I think
no.
give it a couple of give him a bit of time, and I'm hoping he'll reach that. Well, I think we'd be lucky if he even reaches half of that level, really.
Yeah, I mean, good thing about Pep is that players still always have a chance. Like, I mean, when you first signed Mateus Nunes, it looked like he was just a waste of money,
Yeah,
and now he's become your the starting right back.
and I think he's been our best player this season.
He
Like
has
I
been
think
really good.
without Mateus Nunes, I think we lack creativity because whenever he's in the team, he obviously drives up the pitch really, really well, creates chances out of nothing, and he's become so much better defensively that
Yeah,
I can't really think of many other right backs, particularly this season, that have been better than him.
no, it's been a. I think the only like argument is Reece James, but it's the consistency of Chelsea that's really struggled. Like where he's really struggled.
Yeah, tell me about it.
I don't think you can complain when I'm sat here with bloody. I don't even know what's going on with my club. Maybe we're getting Roberto De Zerbi, maybe we're getting Ben Davies. I don't know.
Maybe getting Neil Warnock out of retirement.
Yeah, that's literally. God knows what's coming next for us. But yeah,
That's George. Um, Going back to England, if you want to continue talking about like the England squad and all
that's
that.
what I was about to move on to.
Um, I'm really interested to see how he goes about it because he's got, and we saw the other day, that's not even that's our third team that he had playing.
Yeah,
Um, I think Morgan Rogers will start for England. I really and truly think
I
he will
really
start.
think he'll start Bellingham.
No, I think it will be. I also think Anthony Gordon has a chance of starting as well.
Left wing is probably our weakest point. So
No,
anyone.
I would
Really.
say centre backs are weakest
No, I
because
mean like starting 11. Our two centre backs are really good. Whoever we start with is going to be good.
so to me my prediction would be for our first game would be Pickford, O'Reilly, Gahey, Konza, hopefully James,
Yeah,
Anderson, Rice, Rogers, Bellingham, Saka, Kane.
yeah. I
I
think
honestly think
Bellingham will start.
I honestly think Morgan Rogers has a fantastic chance to start. If he keeps playing the way that he's playing right now, he will be starting for England. Like
Yeah,
Rashford was really good. Rashford, upon my rewatch of the game, I think he was one of our better players. I was mildly impressed with James Garner, but I've always been a big James Garner stand. Uh, he's not the caliber of player of Wharton and Anderson, but I'd say he's our next best option than watching 35, 30 now probably 36-year-old Jordan Henderson trudge out.
Yeah.
to another
I
World
mean,
Cup. He doesn't.
I do want to say, mentioning obviously Anderson and Wharton. Wharton's performance in that when he come on in that second half really gives him the chance that he could start for us over Anderson in the World Cup. Maybe if he gets more minutes in this send off series thing.
I've seen more stupid things happen. That Thomas do the right thing, start Elliot. You know he's a baller.
Don't call him Elliot as if you're mates. Like,
Oh, nah, he's. I think that um, I think we'll be in a good position. I don't think we're as loaded with talent as your France or your Belgium. I think Germany could be quite decent. Portugal, I'm a big fan of. Um, if Italy make it, I think Italy will be a problem. But um, oh, I haven't even mentioned Brazil, which is I saw a tweet the other day. Is Brazil's number 9 is going to be playing for Brentford because it's going to be Igor Thiago. It's not. I hope it's not Richarlison. They'd be stupid if it was Richarlison. It has
Allison's
to be
still
Igor
got
Thiago.
9 goals this season, 9 or 10 goals this season
Igor
in a
Thiago. It's
terrible
Igor
squad.
Thiago for Brentford. He is
You're not giving João Pedro a chance.
well. Do I want it to be João Pedro? Yes, but do I think it will be? No. I think Brazil are obviously going to be in the running because it's Brazil. So, actually, when I think about it, it will be Vinicius Junior, João Pedro, Igor Thiago, and Rafinha up front. Oh, that's not bad, you know. Not a bad
You,
little team.
you think they'll play him in the 10?
That's the thing that I thought about because Brazil is obviously renowned for having some of the greatest number 10s football has ever seen, with the likes of Pele, with the likes of Kaká, with the likes of Dino. Like they've got some names on that
And you
list,
think João Pedro gets in that list?
and I don't think João Pedro is nearly as good as what they are.
Good.
I'm deluded, but I'm not that deluded. But I honestly think this World Cup is going to be so interesting to watch, to see how the big teams clash with each other. Because I don't think we get that as much nowadays in like the Euros. I don't think we get as many big clashes. The World Cup gives you every team. So you're getting Argentina on what looks like it will be Messi's last World Cup. So you know Messi's going to want to come out swinging, and they're going to start him because he's worshipped like God in Argentina, like Maradona is. Like this is going to be a fantastic World Cup. I think could be anyone's game. I was looking at while you were talking, I was looking at the groups. Um, we're gonna get some. We're gonna get some quite obscure teams going through in this next round at least. Um, isn't isn't Curacao going? Curacao is in a group with Germany. If I'll be so interested to see how the little teams do, like Curacao, like I think there's another small Cape Verde. Cape Verde is going. Jordan is going. Uzbekistan. Abu Qadir Kusanov's Uzbekistan is going. Like there are some teams here that would be really great if they went the whole distance, and some teams that deserve, or countries more like that deserve uh the world stage. And I'm buzzing because I love all the football being on the television because I'm going to be staying up to watch
I,
Curacao versus Uzbekistan at like 3 in the morning.
I'm sure you
Um,
will.
I definitely will. I promise you, I'm going to be watching as many games as I humanly can watch. Um, by the way, first England game, um, I will be doing something of some description.
Yeah,
So
sounds good.
who are you looking forward to watch, Emmett? Apart from the Americans, who are you looking forward to
I want to watch
watching?
England with you guys. A little watch party I think would be fun. Uh, Aside from that, there aren't any like major teams I'm excited to watch. Just kind of good games. Just watch what I can. See what excites me kind of. But like going in, there's no major team I'm excited to watch. I'll watch America for being American. I'll watch England for living in England and being friends with you guys and just kind of whatever
I,
else is on really.
there's some really interesting like thoughts that you could take. I'm gonna take into the World Cup. Is Ronaldo still going to be the focal point of Portugal?
Yes.
Um, what will what will Messi's Argentina look like? Will they be out swinging, being the defending champions?
What did they end up
Um,
winning by the other day? I need to know.
2-0. 2-1. Apparently they're really disappointed with the performance.
I wouldn't be. You put out like your main team against fucking nobody. Who was it?
we're going to get to see Haaland
Cristiano.
versus Mbappe like on a world stage. Um, will Yamal have as great an impact to Spain as he always has, or he had in the Euros? Um, Belgium, can they recapture any of their old? Because we've obviously spoken about Belgium in depth a little bit. Can Belgium recapture the form of yesteryear? The Netherlands, I think the Netherlands is a sneaky team to win the whole thing. I really
I don't think they're gonna win the whole thing.
no, but I
I
think
also don't think they're
my
particularly sneaky.
they're my
They're a good, they're a decent side.
no, but with the teams that they got, I think they're a little dark horse to win. I really do. I think that back line on its own deserves to win. That back five deserves to win something. I think it was a back five that I put together the other day for the Netherlands. Um, Van der Ven, De Vrij, you've got De Ligt, Dumfries, Hartman. I don't know who the other left back was. I cannot remember. Cannot think for the life of me of any other Dutch left backs. But their team is going to be really, really strong, and I think they're going to go very, very deep into this tournament. Because not to forget that they're really well coached. It's not always about the players. It's about the coaching and how well they're coached.
Do you think Joro Hato has a good chance?
Oh, Joro Hato has every chance in the world if he keeps playing
He's
the
a
way he's
decent
playing
player.
recently.
He's a very good player.
Do you think there's any players? This is another thing that I always think about when it comes to a big tournament. Are there any players that you think are going to make a name for themselves this World Cup, thus giving them or standing themselves out to get a big transfer over the summer? Is there any players that you're particularly looking at that will, you think, be of noticeable watching to get a transfer?
Well, I mean, I hope some of our players drive up their price tags because we're gonna need it in the championship.
Ho ho ho. Goodbye.
This has been Ben, George, Cody, and Lewis with a production team of Emmett, Sarah, and Millie.